All right, guys, I honestly never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be making this video. I'm going to be honest with you. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be selling all of my Apple stock for Micron. And at this point, given where we are, that is exactly what I'm doing. Now, I still have exposure through Apple in ETFs, in the S&P 500, etc. What I mean is I'm selling my individual shares of Apple for Micron. And Apple has been one of my favorite companies for years. It's one of the greatest businesses ever created. No questions asked, hands down. But today I sold every share. And I took that money and I bought Micron. Before the Apple fans go crazy in the comments, by the way, let me hear it, all of it. But before you go crazy, this isn't because I suddenly hate Apple, right? I still have exposure to Apple. I still think it's a great company. It's because I believe we're entering the next phase of this AI boom. And I think Micron has substantially more upside over the next several years compared to Apple. And we recently had this pullback, which really helps me make this decision. Micron has experienced some volatility, which I think this is really good for the AI trade. The fact that we came down significantly, pulled back, right? And my main thesis is Apple's already a giant. It's one of the top companies in the world, incredible company, amazing balance sheet, huge cash flows. Like the list goes on and on. Services, businesses, that side of things continues to grow exponentially. But Apple's already worth several $1 trillion. If it doubles, that's trillions of dollars of new value. Micron doesn't need nearly as much capital in order to produce outsized returns compared to Apple over the next 5 years. And the thing is, everybody talks about NVIDIA and AMD, and they're great stocks, right? They're great companies. Everyone talks about that. Very few people realize none of those chips work without the memory. Every AI server requires enormous amounts of DRAM, HBM, high bandwidth memory, and NAND, NAND. Memory's becoming the biggest bottleneck of this AI trade and the AI infrastructure. Micron says AI has fundamentally changed the entire industry, with memory becoming a strategic asset rather than just a commodity, right? It was nice to have, now you have to have it, essentially. And it expects demand from AI data centers, smartphones, robotics, and autonomous systems to remain very strong, while supply stays constrained for years, maybe even decades. Tim Cook basically confirmed my thesis. One of the biggest reasons, Apple itself, during Apple's earnings call, Tim Cook admitted memory costs are exploding. Supply is tight. They expect prices to continue increasing. That is bad if you're buying memory. It's fantastic if you're selling memory. Cook said Apple paid significantly more for memory last quarter and expects costs to rise further because there are only a few major DRAM suppliers. AI spending is not slowing down. Look around. Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, xAI, they're all spending hundreds of billions building AI infrastructure. Every one of those servers needs more memory than previous generations. Micron recently announced a strategic agreement with Anthropic, spanning AI infrastructure, memory architecture, and long-term supply. Micron is to memory what NVIDIA is to chips. And I feel like we're still early to the Micron story. And you can start to see why I'm selling all my Apple shares for Micron and why I'm making this big move. Unlike CPUs, memory has relatively few producers. You've got some of the people overseas, SK Hynix, Samsung, and you've got Micron in the United States. That's basically it. This is a very, very tight-knit group of companies that are supplying the memory needed for this AI infrastructure build-out. And if demand exceeds supply and it continues down that path, pricing power improves dramatically over time. And I still love Apple. Like, don't get me wrong. I still think it's a phenomenal company. They can make some major moves, right? But I believe iPhone growth is pretty mature. Like, everybody has an iPhone that wants an iPhone. I mean, not everybody, but you know what I mean, right? A lot of people do. Services continue growing, sure. AI features help. However, Apple's now paying higher component costs because of the AI memory shortage. Meanwhile, Micron is one of the companies benefiting from those higher prices. It's actually an opposite type of play, Micron versus Apple. And there's risks, right? Like, let's be honest. Making this move, I mean, AI spending could dramatically slow down and it could be a massive bubble. I just don't think it is. Memory prices could collapse and supply catches demand faster than expected, right? A traditional semiconductor down cycle returns and we go in this long bear market. But Micron is definitely more volatile than Apple. I'm not saying it isn't. I get that. I'm accepting more volatility because I think the upside is meaningfully higher if I'm going to look at it for the next 5 years. And Apple's still an incredible business. And if you own it, I'm not saying you should go sell and do what I'm doing. This is simply how I'm positioning my own portfolio. And like I said, I still have exposure to Apple through ETFs, right? I'm not getting rid of the company completely. I believe the next stage, though, of AI won't just reward the companies designing the chips. It'll reward the companies supplying the critical infrastructure, like Micron, that these chips can't run without. Think of it as the brain for the chips. That is what Micron produces. Very excited to hear your thoughts down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, drop your comments. See you guys in the next one.